Wall, an audio look at the visual arts in Denton, Texas, the home of happiness. Beyond the Fourth Wall streams live almost every Wednesday high atop the historic Campus Theater in beautiful downtown Denton. Podcasts of past episodes can be found right here at dentonradio.com. At dentonradio.com, we support local. I'm your host, Damon Wadico, and tonight we have a couple of special treats for you. For one, a new co-host. Hello,
Hi.
Melanie Welch.
Hi, Damon. How are you?
I'm fine. You are the third person now to sit in this seat. People are going to think I'm difficult to work with.
You're not. You just difficult to schedule? I don't know.
So you are actually related to Dennis Welch, the usual host here, at least as of last week.
Yes, I am his daughter.
Yes, and where is your father this evening?
He is at a concert. That was his Christmas present from my fiance. Mm-hmm. So, and that concert is Leon Russell at the House of Blues in Dallas.
Well, I hope he's having a good time.
I'm sure, because that is his favorite artist is Leon Russell.
Well, it's nice of him to leave me in the lurch. But I'm glad he got you in here, because I hate doing the show alone.
Well, I'm happy to be here.
All right. Well, first, you've heard the show before, right?
Yes.
So we do a calendar.
Yes.
And why don't you tell the folks about the upcoming event that will be here at the Campus Theater?
Here at the Campus Theater will be Who's in Bed with the Butler, a farce that is quite the riotous comedy, I've heard.
That's what I've heard.
And the dates will be January 25th, 26th, and 27th, and January 30th, February 1st, February 2nd, and February 3rd.
And tickets are on sale now.
Tickets are on sale now at DentonCommunityTheater.com.
And that is directed by Johnny Williams, who has been a guest on the show, friend of the show. So it should be a good time for everybody. For information on tickets, just go to Google and Google Denton Community Theater. And then the other show we've got going on is at the Black Box, and that is Paperbacks, which is being put on by the Sundown Collaborative Theater. And that is ongoing now, and will be this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Thank you. And that voice you heard correcting me, and I'm so glad she did, is Tashina Richardson, who is directing that show. Hello, Tashina.
Hello.
So, you're directing this show. Tell us a little bit what Paperbacks is about.
It's about an hour-long show, and it's two characters, an artist and a writer, who have been in and out of a relationship for a very long time. They sort of cycle back through being together and not being together. And basically the show asks the question, how much are you willing to compromise yourself and your art in order to be with somebody?
Wow, sounds very interesting. So have you been involved with Sundown for a long time?
Yes. The first show I did with them was the summer of 2008. They did The Shape of Things by Neil LaBute. And I actually joined the company in 2009.
I think I saw that show. Was that at the Green Space?
Yes, where most of our shows are. Yeah.
A lot of them are.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw Othello there. And yeah.
Yes. And I joined the company in 2009 as the public relations director and have been a member of the company ever since then.
Yeah, usually, I'm really glad to have you, because usually this show, we interview people from the the community or Amdram community. You know Amdram?
No. What are you talking about, Damon?
Do you know that term?
I don't know that term.
Amdram is what they call amateur dramatics in England. They don't say community theater.
Oh.
That is so much cool. Well, the Brits usually are cooler than
They have
than
a different word
Americans.
for everything.
They do.
Anyway, I'm trying to catch that on here in the United States because I like the sound of it. Amdram. So I've seen, like I said, I've seen a few Sundown shows in the past. Always very high quality productions.
Thank you.
You guys though have you folks have performed all around, not just Green Space, but I saw a show at TWU. I saw a show above the old Hydrant Coffee Shop.
Yes.
In fact, I had a friend in a production of that. He played a father.
Yes, my father. He played my father. Yeah, Dave.
What was the name of that? Dave, right?
Yeah, it was Rabbit. It was
That's-
a British play. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Good show.
Yeah.
Good show.
That's great.
So, have you directed other shows? Or?
I have since I've joined about one a year ish.
Oh, okay.
Maybe last year I directed. We did a show by a playwright who's the artistic director of Audacity Theater Lab, Brad McIntyre, in Dallas. He wrote a show for Sundown called Carter Stubbs Takes Flight, and that was the last show I directed for Sundown. Before that. Oh, I don't have to do them off the top of my head. That'd be terrifying. I've done a lot of devised pieces for the company, wherein we create in the process a show, and then put on what we've created. Basically, I've directed and participated in those.
Well, how does that work? I mean, you said to say we're going to build up a show from scratch, ground zero.
Yes.
Wow,
That's how it
I can
works.
hardly get people organized with, everybody knows what they're supposed to do.
Right.
How long does this take? How does it work?
Well, it's interesting. We actually just had auditions for our next two shows, which are both devised pieces, last night. And explaining the process is always it always sounds crazy. But basically, I mean, you want to get together a group of people, who are willing to contribute ideas. You can always come in with a theme. When we have open show pitches. Literally, if we're asking for submissions, we will take them from anyone. We like to do these devised pieces. So people come in and they basically bring in a theme. And they
Right.
say, this is a theme I'd like to explore with you within the context of a devised piece, knowing that Sundown does encourage that kind of environment. So, for instance, the next show we're doing, the theme is people having to I've completely lost the word that I'm looking for. Having to confront something that they've done in their lives that they're not proud of.
Okay.
So it's very basic, but then you find a way to specify it based on the people that you cast, and then everyone says, you have to have actors that aren't just actors, but have an idea of how the whole of theater is created, being willing to have opinions on the technical aspects and the structure of how a show should be, created, and at the same time, people who are willing to throw their ideas out the window if it doesn't work. It's a tough experience. We require at least a 6-week process for something like that, just because you have to create it. But it's pretty insane. We have people that are in charge. If we don't have a director on it, we have what we call spearheaders, and that at least are basically artistic stage managers who are kind of whittling down and getting people to quiet down when you're trying to have those discussions where you're getting into the nitty gritty of what you've been creating in the process.
That sounds so fascinating. Like, I would be so interested to see that kind of process and how you just create something from the ground up like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow, that is has anything like that ever fallen apart?
I've been doing devised pieces since 2003, so outside of Sundown as well, and I've never had one full-on fall apart. I will say that. There is always a point. In a few productions, really almost every production has what I call a come-to-Jesus moment, which is where you're on the cusp of falling apart. I mean, every production you get to that point where you think nothing's going to work out and you're just convinced. But especially with devised pieces, you get to that point, but it's not just, the director and these people freaking out. It's literally everyone's freaking out about it. So everyone wants to kill each other, basically. And so you just sit and have a little kumbaya session, and you just tell everybody, what your issues are. And it's somehow, for some reason, and I can't, as many as I've done, I cannot pinpoint why, but that, just being able to just spill it out, take a moment, take a breath, refocus. I've never had a devised piece just full on fall apart.
I feel like that would build skills so much. Like, I think theater, of course, builds skills in general. I think it contributes to every aspect of life. But I feel like that just amps it up to 11.
Yeah.
When you're so invested and so in every part, and you really have to work at all of it.
Absolutely.
It's incredible.
I think it helps teach leaders to not always feel like their ideas are the one idea that needs to happen, and it helps teach followers how to be leaders. Because if one person isn't contributing, you can see it. So I think it really helps in that aspect. As true as you can in terms of something like that. There are always going to be stronger personalities that are going to take hold.
Oh,
but
there always are.
But
Yeah.
of course, but you can try, and it helps because you have to have opinions from everyone in order for the show to feel fully fleshed out with who's in it.
And then that makes them more invested.
Right.
And want to see it come to fruition, I think.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
so cool.
Definitely.
That's exciting.
So, Melanie, you're also involved with a local theater group, Fight Boy Theater.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I am.
Is this something you can see Fight Boy trying one day?
Oh, I think we could try it.
I would like to see that.
I think our organization is a little lacking for that. But if we made an effort to get more organized and so on, I think it could happen if we tried.
And I really don't want to spend too much time on this because I know you have a show going on now that needs to be plugged.
Definitely.
But when you brought up the term devised theater, I got to tell you, it's really fascinating. So you start with nothing. You have a group of people. And after, you said, about 6 weeks,
Yeah.
you have a finished piece.
Yeah.
So not really improvisational theater. You are creating, there is a written script when all this is over?
In a sense, and it depends on the show. I've done some devised pieces that have a lot more text, and I've done some that are in Sundown. Not just me, but just with the ones that Sundown has done, that are much more heavy on the movement side. We do like to play a lot with movement theater in our shows.
I've seen the website. I've seen some of the audition calls. Very often it says, be dressed to move.
Yep.
And that just intimidates me to know.
Exactly. Well, even last night, someone had asked, we did a movement portion first, and someone had asked, oh, well, do I need to change into, my nice audition clothes? And I was like, I've seen you roll around on the ground. It's fine. I don't need you to look nice.
So how many permanent, regulars are there in Sundown?
It rotates. We do pull a lot from students, so we'll have some people that are regulars, for a solid amount of years, and then they graduate and
Sure.
they move on, and then we get some new people. We actually, before our last season, we had a fair amount of some people that have been with us for a long time, move, and so last year was a little bit of a mix of a couple of people who, had been there a while and a lot of new people. And this year it's been nice to see some of those newer faces from last year come back again. And even just the auditions we just had, a lot of new faces, which is really great. So we like the familiar people. It's with anything, any kind of theater company, if you work with people, them a little better.
Sure.
You have
Absolutely.
that history with them.
I love being in shows with people I've worked with before.
Exactly, because you already have the rapport, right?
Yeah.
Of course. You have the rapport, so that's nice. But it's also really good to bring in new people to have that mix. So
And it keeps it fresh.
exactly.
Yeah.
I
exactly.
love a perfect mix where it's about half and half, and you
Oh, yeah.
you have people you can rely on, but people you feel like you're bringing into the community, and maybe you can learn from each other because you don't know what each other's strengths and are, and I feel like that's so much fun,
Absolutely.
and I like what you're doing.
Thanks. I like it too.
Theater. It's the magic of theater. Now, the show that you're doing now, Paperbacks, which is at the Point Bank Black Box Theater, which is a theater that has a name that sounds like an actor's warm-up. Point Bank Black Box Theater. That is not a devised piece.
No.
Now, Can you tell who wrote that? Is this an original or?
Yes.
Okay.
It is the first script from a woman. Her name's Brittany Willis. She actually used to be a Sundown member a couple of years ago, and she
Okay.
has designed and acted for us in the past. And she submitted the show, like I said, in our open submissions. And I personally, fell in love with it and offered to direct it. And now here we are, which is really great. As she's been a long time friend of mine as well. So
Right.
it's funny because there's something in the show where they say something about a piece of art is simple and it's treated as an insult. But the thing I like about the show is that I do feel like it is simple in the best way. It's just very clean. It strips away all of the need for the constant. When you see shows about relationships, there's a lot of chatter, a lot of talking around it, and it's to the point. Just these basics, these scenes that just get you. Here's when it was good. Here's when it's bad. Here's where it's going, which I like. As well as I realized doing the show, I have a tendency to lean towards pieces about artists too. So I'm sure that's just some sort of conceited thing with me, but
Well, I think we tend to like to see reflections of
Sure.
ourselves in characters in any piece of art.
absolutely.
So
Definitely.
artists are drawn to artists.
Yeah, absolutely. And she, the way she wrote it, and she's admitted as much as that she was influenced with her time in Sundown, is that it is written with some movement aspects in mind and with an openness to have more interpretation from the director. She has done devised pieces as well, just bring it back to that. So we did a lot of exercises. We didn't just, table work and blocking. There was some movement exercises, a little bit of very realistic choreography put in there with the actors as well. So it still kind of incorporates those ideas while still being a realistic play.
One of the reasons that I brought that up about the playwright was this theater, that is Denton Community Theater, has a yearly playwriting contest, and you should clue your friend in about it because
Yes.
the prize money is pretty darn big.
Yes, it is.
But so how does it work? You're the director of this show. How does those kind of things get decided? What is the process at Sundown? Okay, you're going to direct this play. You're going to, someone else is going to direct that play. What's the distribution of? How does that work out? How did you get to be the director?
Well, we actually, we encourage people in our submissions to choose directors, bring in directors, or, pitch to direct themselves, because we just prefer to see someone come in and pitch a show for us and say, this is the idea that I see for this show, and let us understand their concept. And that's what helps us decide. Just reading a script, we can put our own concept on it, but then who knows if we bring in a director that the playwright might not like. We like to have the playwright have a say, and this playwright, she had a say, and she wanted me to direct it. So she had me read it before it was pitched. And so when it was pitched to the company, this is a lot of ins and outs of Sundown stuff.
No,
but
I find this interesting. Cool.
she did pitch it, and then I sort of supplemented it with, well, here are some of the ideas that I'm seeing for the show as well. So the company heard kind of both sides at the same time and decided based on that. So we have directors come and pitch shows, and if playwrights come in and pitch, then we often suggest that they bring in their own directors or direct it themselves.
I like that. As a playwright myself, I would love to see my vision on stage instead of I did once have a play. Just I handed it over and I said a couple things about it and didn't see it till the end product. And I happen to trust that director, but mostly I would really like to kind of have a hand in what I put on paper.
Sure,
So
yeah,
that's again, I love it.
Well, I find it interesting you're using the term pitch. I always think of, I'm pitching a movie. It's like a Hollywood term.
Yeah.
So Sundown does not have like a board that sits down and says these are, argues about the shows they're going to do. You invite people to come in and actually pitch ideas for shows to you.
Right, we do. We have a
Wow.
board that argues that, but it's after we, like I said, completely open. I mean, this year we probably had maybe about 12 pitches from people that, had not even ever seen our work, just knew we had a completely open process, and so being able to have that ability, whether you get picked or not, is a nice thing to have. So we'll
Yeah.
listen to anybody who walks through the door, and then we sit down and we argue through those. So the thing is if there's a board member or there's a member of the company that really wants to do a certain show,
Yeah.
then they've got to come in and they've got to pitch it. They've got to sell us on it. They can't just come in and say, "Well, I've been with this company for 6 years, so we're going to do this show," because that's just not. We just don't work that way.
But that's a great like equal opportunity for anybody who wants to see their work.
I'm just trying to, I'm trying to imagine how this process works. Because again, I'm thinking of the Hollywood producer with the
Right.
cigar and the poor schmuck writer there going, "Okay, here it is in 3 sentences." Bruce Willis jumps off a building. I imagine. I mean, what are they like? Does the writer stand up and kind of act it out? I mean, how does a pitch for
Well,
Sundown
I do
work?
always smoke a cigar every time
Of
that we do
course.
pitches. But no, we have them. We have a date where you submit in your written submission.
Okay.
And it's basically it's a form letter for us. You send us the script and you fill out this basic submission form where we say how many people is it going to take, what are the big tech requirements, are you just writing it, do you want to direct, do you have any, where do you want to be the person pitching it, who are you in this pitch, and then we give ourselves 2 weeks to read all of the scripts. So then in 2 weeks, then they come in and they have 5 minutes to pitch it to us. And we have basic kind of guidelines. We say, these are basically, you want to give us this. Give us a synopsis in case anybody who in the company who doesn't read the script will get lambasted. So most of the time we do read the scripts. But give us a short synopsis, then give us an idea of concept. Give us an idea of budget.
Right.
Give us bare bones ideas of what you're thinking. And, make that at least less than 5 minutes. And then we come in based on what we read with questions. And then we just ask all of those questions. We write down notes. We do all of that. We listen to every single one. And then we sit down with each other with all of the notes, all of the questions asked, everything. And we sift through them.
And work it out.
And we
And
work
hash
it
it
out.
out.
And it usually, at the end of the day, ends up coming down to write your votes on a piece of paper and turn them in, because we're not there, because the more you talk about it, the more people are going to try to convince someone to think their way, and we'd
Sure.
like it to try to be it's easy. Again, the same thing when I was talking about device pieces. Leaders are going to be leaders, and they're going to be loud, and they're going to make you want to do their way. And we have a lot of really great workers in our company that are quiet, so let them still have their voices heard and have an anonymous votes. And majority is what we pick for our season.
So I imagine. Oh no, go ahead.
I was just saying fabulous.
It's
That's
pretty
a good,
amazing.
that's a good system.
So I imagine.
Anybody that hears this is going to be like, now I know the secret to Sundown.
Well,
And everybody in Sundown is like, why did you tell us the
We
secret
are
to Sundown?
here to reveal the secrets of
No,
Sundown.
you got me.
So I have to imagine, though, with this open submission policy, that occasionally you might get people pitching ideas that may not have ever even seen a Sundown show, maybe.
Yes, we do.
And they've got, some of them have got to be like laughably inappropriate. I don't, of course you would
Right,
never
no,
laugh
I have
at
to toe
anyone.
the line. But first of all,
I would,
I mean, we've gotten a lot of interesting submissions over the years. Yes,
I would
some
imagine.
some that have definitely been. Sundown likes to play with genres, but we do have a style in a sense. We have, we don't all just do super depressing things, although most people think we do. But, we have had people submit certain things that we just would never in a million years. It's not anything against the script, even. It's just not
Doesn't
in our
fit.
wheelhouse.
Right.
So yeah, but at the same time, it's one of those things. The person took the time to come and submit, and we keep them in the loop, and it usually happens naturally. They're one of the first people we just stop talking about early on, because we just know we're not going to do it. But it doesn't mean we're not going to sit there and listen to somebody who's given their all. And if somehow, even in the middle of that thing, they just wow us, we could always reconsider. We don't want to stick ourselves in a box necessarily. But
Right.
yes, there have definitely been some pitches that have.
Have you ever ended up doing any that were from like totally outside people who you didn't really know or?
I don't think so. We've done some pieces. When we did Carter Stubbs Takes Flight, that was actually pitched to us via a different script he had written, which was very quirky and farcical. And then he also, Brad McIntyre also pitched us the idea of writing a script for us. And so we said, okay, we want that one because that sounds cool. Like some playwright's going to write a script for us. And we basically did a thing he called like Ideas in a Box. And he came and had a meeting with us. And we all just showed up with things we wanted in a play. No, that was literally the only tying ingredient. We didn't talk to each other. Everybody brought in completely different ideas. And he threw them in like a shopping bag, so not really a box, and left, and then wrote us a play.
That's awesome.
And it was insane because people are showing their things and we're like, none of these things tie together. How are you going to do this? And it was, so that was really, that was definitely kind of one of the more off-kilter things we've done that ended up really working out for us. It was really nice.
Very cool. Very cool.
So you mentioned that besides directing, you also act.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I got to ask, do you have a preference?
Yes, I prefer directing.
Wow, everybody says that, and the idea of directing terrifies me. Why is that?
I like being in charge. No, kind of. That's probably kind of it. I like being able to see an idea that I have come to fruition. I like being able to have the moments in rehearsal where I see a light go off for an actor, when something I've been trying to get across and then it finally gets across. I like being able to say that in general, the things in my head come to life on stage. I really do enjoy acting as well. I always choose directing, but what usually happens is I direct and then I say, I really want to act. And then I act and I say, I really want to direct. So I basically kind of go back and forth with each one.
Grass is always greener on the other side.
Exactly.
So what is next for you? Do you work in other theaters or are you strictly just Sundown at this time?
I've worked with Audacity Theater Lab, Brad McIntyre's company.
You had mentioned that, yeah.
Yes. But other than that, yeah, pretty much Sundown's a full-time gig with running it and then also the shows as well. So I haven't really had a chance to do that. I am working on the Method and Madness Festival with Denton Community Theater, though. So.
And once again, that's our playwriting contest.
Exactly.
So, well, fantastic.
Yeah.
And I like to see us old fogies here in Amdram mixing it up with some of the other groups around. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Always inject a little bit of newness and freshness into because we kind of get into ruts sometimes around here, don't we? Not always. Not always.
I never get tired of the sound of music. That's of course kidding.
But I don't know. I just like to see things change and evolve.
Yeah, and I like to see other groups utilizing the black box.
And I love that the black box has now been used by Denton Community
groups,
Theater,
yeah. Fight Boy
Theater, now Sundown Collaborative. I mean, that's really encouraging that we have this common space that we can kind of all come to if we need,
Yes, anybody that has the money and wants to put on a show.
Exactly.
Bring it
Yeah,
on.
we were doing tech and 3 different groups of people came through to rent it.
I just want to say
Yes.
we are running out of time.
That's fine.
But Tashina Richardson, thank you so much. Once again, the show is Paperbacks. It's at the Point Bank Black Box Theater. I'm required by law, apparently, to say that whole name. At 318 West Hickory here in Denton, Texas. Tomorrow night, and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yes, all
4
at 8.
shows. come out for a different theater experience. Thank you so much.
thank
Good
you.
luck with everything in Sundown.
Oh,
and
one
yes,
thing,
okay.
because I got a text from my mother. I got the dates wrong for Who's in Bed with the Butler. It was the second weekend is January 30th, 31st, February 1st, and February 2nd. There's no February 3rd show. That's a Monday. We don't do Mondays.
All right, folks. Yeah, one day we'll get that calendar right. I'll do some homework, actually, one of these days. But thank you very much. Thanks to Jake Laughlin and DentonRadio.com. And I guess we are out. But tune in next week for a very, very special Beyond the Fourth Wall. That's a teaser.
Ooh.
That's a very professional radio thing to do. Teasing the audience.
Yeah. Oh, you might want to tune in.